So what I learned in the process of talking to thousands of people about their love lives is that, that we all kind of have the same problems, actually, and they actually really are reflected in an ecology, just exactly like the way we talk about the ecology in, whether you're talking about mushrooms or food sources, it's the same. Our personal relationships are a perfect container for love, just in the same way as we have ecosystems. So I'm just going to take you back a few years, and who saw the movie Inconvenient Truth? If you're at Bioneers and you haven't seen Inconvenient Truth, you don't belong here. So it's more inconvenient than ever, right? That we're actually destroying the planet and we can't sustain our lifestyle on this fragile planet. But the thing that stopped me in that movie was was the scene where he shows the atmosphere, this tiny, unbelievably thin layer that actually we only knew that it was broke. We only knew it existed when it broke. Actually, we didn't even think about it before it broke. And hello, this is our relationships. So our relationships are actually a container that actually provide us the way to love each other. They hold us and actually allow us to find out what it means to be a loving human being, which is actually the evolutionary course of humanity. That's how you evolve, is by learning to love. So it's like love is the mechanism. I don't know if anybody was in here for the movie that just the universe, source of the universe, and the final line is, well, humans love, you know, they wonder, and it's because they wonder that they can save the world. No, it's because they love that they can save the world. Because the only thing that is ever going to actually make you give up anything or change the way you live is what you love. And actually the only great successes that have ever happened in life, even the people who are here who are totally inspirational, is because they love that thing. But it's really weird because we don't learn how to love. And love is developmental. So love actually is the answer to every question that you will ever ask. And it's the answer to every question at every single one of these workshops. And because the only way that we will actually have the courage to make the changes that even really brilliant, innovative people know about is if we love something enough to actually give up what we're doing. So there's a lot of misconceptions about love, and I'm going to dispel them for you right now before we move forward. Okay, so it's not a feeling. Okay, anybody here who thinks love is a feeling, it's not a feeling. Okay, you actually feel in love a few times in your life when you're really lucky, and you fall in love with somebody. And that's your biology wanting you to reproduce. Okay, your biology is actually designed for us to want to reproduce, so we fall in love. And we are euphoric. There is no drug on the planet that even comes close to falling in love with somebody. And everybody, who's in here who's fallen in love? Raise your hand if you've fallen in love. Okay, everybody in here's fallen in love one time. Did it last forever?
No.
6 months if you're lucky, right? Maybe 6 months. Actually, your biology cannot support that feeling for longer than 6 months. Because you don't sleep, you don't eat, you're only thinking about that one person, they are idyllic, they are perfect, God has come into your life. Okay, that is not love. That's a form of love that makes you want to procreate, okay? That's all. Love, this is one of my favorite quotes of the whole world. For one human being to love another, that is perhaps the most difficult of all our tasks, the ultimate, the last test and proof, the work for which all other work is but preparation. Love is work. And in fact, Sigmund Freud, my husband's a psychiatrist, he has an action figure of Sigmund Freud on his desk.
It lays on a couch.
And it's actually, if you actually haven't gotten my book yet, and you want to get my book after this, it's the first quote in the book, love and work are the cornerstones of our humanness. So that is actually the truth. Love is actually how you live to evolve into the human being you are meant to be. And it's work. So here we are in our ecology of love. Don't you love this? This is my designer. He hates hearts. He used to be all hearts, but I finally made him give me one single heart. The heart in the middle is how we sustain our love. And it looks like the earth because that's the only way we're going to save the earth, is if we learn to love each other. It's our only hope, actually. So, okay, so, the ground of our relationships rests in your thoughts. This is the foundation of your relationship to your entire life. Everything. Okay, so the ground is how we think. And so you know, and so now we're talking love, but we're also talking the world, right? So this next quote I have by my bed, I sleep by it. The Buddha said this to us: "We are what we think. All that we are arises with our thoughts. With our thoughts, we make the world." So I've been doing this for a long time, and I always hear the same things that people think, that these common thinking errors that continuously destroy millions of relationships prematurely before we even know if they're worth anything. So that's when we all sort of watch those Disney movies. We think we get married or we love somebody, and that is our happiness ticket. Wrong, wrong, wrong. Love does not make us happy. Okay, on a good day it does. And when we learn how to really cultivate it, it gets better and better. But no relationship is responsible for your happiness. That is your thinking. That's an inside job. Your happiness actually relies only on you. The other thinking error, which is even more rampant than the first, is that your relationship should be easy, or it should get easier, or it should be easier than it is. And, you know, here's the thing. The hardest thing we do in life is love people. And that's because people are really annoying. They make stupid mistakes. They're thoughtless many times. They speak in unkind tones, usually to the people they're closest to. And we have to love them anyway. But there are those things, and then they're also really wonderful people. And so, you know, mature love, and it took me a good 12 years to get to this mature love, is where you can actually hold what's lovable about somebody right next to what's annoying as hell about them. Because you know when you're really annoyed by somebody, all you can think about is what's annoying about them, right? But when you are able to actually see, this is really challenging about this person, but they're also these things, then that's actually a mature love. That's what it looks like when it's balanced. And so the thing is that everybody has this, and when you can identify where it is that where you hold your relationship hostage in your thoughts, that is the place where you will see powerful change. And here's a little clue, actually. Where you hold your relationship hostage is also where you hold yourself hostage. Because to the degree that we don't actually feel love for ourselves, even if our partner is loving us actively, we will not see that love. I'm going to say that many times because I can't tell you how important it is when you're trying to have a relationship with somebody else and you have no relationship to yourself. So, and actually then try to have a relationship with a planet that's sick. Because forget it, it's not happening. So, you know, as within, so without. How you're thinking is actually keeping you from the love you want. Just one thing. And how do we change our thoughts, actually? It's actually not that hard to change your thoughts. It's actually just vigilant attention. All you have to do is pay attention to the thoughts you're having. And I did this for 20 months, actually. I'm still doing this. I called it the Positivity Quest. It took me 82 days to stop having negative thoughts. 82 days. But actually that was after 48 years. So think about that. That was a long time, but you know, and so I actually can tell you there's this bracelet method that I learned about online because we learn everything online. And what you do is you wear a little bracelet. You can see I'm still wearing mine. And every time I would have a negative thought, it used to be elastic because I had to do it 800 times a day, I would switch my wrist and that would tell me, oh, I'm having that thought again. And it's amazing how repetitive our negative thoughts are. You know, they are tenacious, unbelievably tenacious, like those mites in the bee film. I mean, they just get stronger and stronger, you know, the more we feed them poison. So, but here's the most beautiful thing. All you have to do is shine your incredibly brilliant mind and attention on your negative thoughts, and they dissipate. Because they're not true. They just seem true because they're so damn familiar. Here's the other thing to think about what you think about. What you think about multiplies. Okay? Your focus multiplies your reality. So here we are, we're back. So the thoughts. So all you have to do, and then you can start doing this right now. You can start doing it tomorrow. Get a bracelet, any kind of bracelet. They have a ton of them out there. Put it on, and every time you have a negative thought, switch the bracelet. And watch it. You will see a change over 21 days. They say it takes 21 days to get rid of a negative thinking habit. Mine was so entrenched it took 82 days. but boy, was it worth it. Just do it. Stop thinking negative thoughts. And especially stop thinking negative thoughts about yourself, because people can't love you if you have negative thoughts about yourself. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the air. The air of our relationships flows with our ability to communicate. What we say and whether we feel heard is the basic currency that enriches or bankrupts our relationships. So a lot of people will leave their relationships because there's no fire. They have no sex, they haven't had sex for a long time. We're maybe one of the most sexless societies in the world, actually, in terms of frequency and relationships that endure with no sex. We blame leaving our relationships on the fire not working, or we're just not into it, or it's too hard, or whatever. But really, this is the place where our relationship gets bankrupted. Because there's no air. If there's no air, I mean, you guys are all Bioneers, eco people. Can you build a fire with no air? No, you cannot actually build a fire with no air. So, so I've learned some really important things about the air of the relationship. And, you know, I'm a talker. Can you tell I'm a talker? My husband is a psychiatrist, he's not a talker. You think that would be a perfect match? Wrong, actually. The most precious gift we can give anyone is our attention. And so I actually have spent years talking, and again my daughter could attest to that, thinking that if I would say something in just the right way, in just the right tone of voice, he would get it. No. Not only does that not happen, but, you know, and this is what we all do when we communicate. We think that we're saying what we mean, and we're usually not. And we think the person is hearing what we mean, and they're usually not. Almost every time. Isn't that tragic? So it's unbelievably tragic because we actually believe that we're communicating, and in fact, there's no communication going on. And so then we do stuff like we get mean, and we like either yell. I actually grew up in a yelling house. That's not effective. Saying it louder does not usually get it heard. Sarcasm is another way that we then start to alter our relationship communication with these kind of mean barbs, thinking that, oh, we're making a joke of it, but it's really not funny. And people then just end up getting hurt, and you're actually eating away at whatever relationship you actually have. This bottom quote actually is the whole thing about communicating, and it only took me 49 years to learn it, so I'm still alive. The experience of being deeply listened to is so close to being loved, most people cannot tell them apart. Where communication happens is when we give people our attention and we listen. That's it. That's the only place we actually learn anything, actually, about what somebody's trying to say and about what we are actually even trying to communicate ourselves. And listening is in such short supply in this society, it's amazing. Actually, if we listen to the bees, we would actually have to stop doing what we're doing. We would just have to listen to them. And here's the other thing that's magical about listening. We have all these words, we have body language. Men and women actually use those things very differently, as we know. You know, I have 2 sons. You know, how long did it take before I learned use less words? Use less words, Wendy, and he might actually hear what you're saying. This is true for my husband as well. I go on and on. I have all kinds of reasonings why he should listen to what I'm saying. Tune out, no listening. So in my positivity quest and trying to figure out how to live positively in my life, I actually learned how to listen. And it was the first time my son ever actually heard me. I was saying nothing. Imagine that. Because what we are really actually trying to communicate every single time we communicate is we want to be seen. We want to be seen, and that actually happens underneath the words. So actually, if you only do one thing from leaving the Bioneers, and you just start listening, fully listening, that means you do not have gadgets in your hands while you're listening, because that's not fully attending. Actually, attending to somebody and listening to them is full time. It takes your whole attention. But the magical thing that happens is that both of the people, the listening person and the person who's saying something, like, because it's probably not what they're saying, it's underneath what they're saying, actually gets transformed. And they start to want to do that with you, automatically. And that is actually what you want most in the world, is just to be seen exactly as you are.